To the middle of the hour, Eric.
I have no idea what that is. Does it go to the back?
Yeah.
This is just
Yeah.
one separate one. Is this the main thing?
Yeah, that one and this one.
Is there a circle?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's the one.
I'm guessing there are.
I think so.
Try it again.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that is. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
That's okay, we've got, you know, we can,
Right,
that's live stream and recording.
Yeah, it
Better
is.
term, right?
right.
So we're fine,
Okay.
we're
All
covered.
right.
And then I'll look into the product. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome. I'll look into it after the meeting.
That's fine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. As you saw, we're having a little technical issue with our recording device, but as we noted, we are live streaming, and the live streaming also records what is being said here, so we do have a record of that. With that being said, I'll welcome everybody and call to order this regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, August 13 of 2024. As we noted, the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. We'd also ask if you do have any type of cell phone, if you'd be kind enough to put it on silent or vibrate. We would appreciate your doing that. We always start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. Commissioner Sonata, could you lead us in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you please remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you all very much. Vanessa, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here, we do have a quorum. Under the next item, we'll note that during our public meeting, we always have two opportunities for public comment, one in just a few moments, and then one before we adjourn the meeting. We ask that your comments be related to county government matters. If it's a state-related matter, we refer you to your state elected officials. If it's a federal matter, we refer you to the U.S. Senators or Congressman Kelly's office. If it's a local municipal matter, we would suggest you reach out to your local city, borough, or township. But if it's a county matter, this is the right place to be. We have two public comment periods. You're welcome to speak both times. You're welcome to make a comment one of the two times, or if you're just here to listen and observe, that's equally fine. And we would ask you try to keep your time to about 5 minutes if you could. We'd appreciate that courtesy. We always set time aside in our agenda for any reports from our elected row officers. They're not obligated to be here, but sometimes they do show up, but today none of them are here. They're probably all working in their respective offices. So that takes us to public comment. I will open it up, and if you could just say who you are, and we'll turn it over to anybody who wishes to make a comment at this time, with again noting that we'll do this again before we adjourn. So are there any public comments at this time? Hearing none. Thank you. Under fiscal and contractual, we have received 3 repository bids on properties located around the county. We've explained before that properties that are delinquent in their taxes go through two public sales, an upset sale and a free and clear sale. And then if under those two circumstances, if the property does not sell, it's listed in the tax claim office as a repository property. People can come in, look at the list, and make bids on those properties. And the minimum bid has to be $500, and the bid has to be approved by all three taxing bodies, the municipality, the school district, and the county. So what we have before us today, the first one, what number would this be, ladies? 211. This is a proposed resolution whereby a bid has been made on a parcel in Mahoning Township. The permanent ID number of the parcel is 24903319. It's located at 164 Gary Lane. Melissa Jones made a bid of $501. On June 11, the Mahoning Township supervisors voted to accept this offer. It's noted here that a letter was sent to the school district. In this case, it would have been the Mohawk Area School District, but they did not return any documentation during the 60-day period, and that then would be deemed approved. So it's now up for us to consider. Gentlemen, before I take a motion, are there any questions or concerns about this bid? If not, may I have a motion for the bid? Again, Resolution 211.
I move to accept the bid. I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any discussion? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Proposed Resolution 212, also a repository bid. Abdul Mansour has made a $500 bid on a parcel located on Harrison Street in the 4th Ward of the City of Newcastle. The ID number is 04229-300. On July 17, the Newcastle City Council voted to accept this bid. Once again, in this case, the Newcastle Area School District did not reply within the 60-day period. Accordingly, it would be deemed approved. So it now falls upon us. This is proposed Resolution 212, the $500 bid for the property located at Harrison Street. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. Comments or discussion, gentlemen? If not, yes, sir. I'm sorry, Chris.
On these bids, I think we went through this before, just for the information of the people here. These properties are not on the tax roll right now, correct?
They are, the taxes are not being paid, let's put it that way. They're listed on the rolls, but they're delinquent.
Right, that's right. So theoretically, by selling these properties, they are now going to be generating revenue.
That is correct.
Not a lot of revenue, but it will generate revenue. So I just want to clarify, because we had this discussion a few months back.
Right.
I just want to clarify that. So we've been getting some of these, so I guess every little bit will help us, if it's someone paying and not. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Sanada. Any other discussion? If not, may I have a roll call on proposed Resolution 212?
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then the final repository bid, this is proposed Resolution 213. Mr. Paul Newbecker has made a bid of $500 on a parcel also in the 4th Ward of the City of Newcastle, located on East Washington Street. The ID number is 04-227500. Newcastle City Council approved this bid on July 12, and once again, we did not receive any correspondence from the Newcastle Area School District. By the way, just to clarify one thing, I may have made an error in the previous one, a minor error, but I may have misread the date of City Council. I may have said July 17. But is that 12 or 17?
12.
It looks like a 12, doesn't it?
It
So
does.
let's just, is that how you interpret it, Dan and Chris? Number 212 looks like 712. And I may have said July 17. If I did, I'm in error. So it is July 12, just to clarify that. And that is also the case for this one, proposed resolution 213. The city did approve it on July 12 of 2024. It is now up to us to consider this proposed resolution to the 213. Is there a motion?
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any discussion or comments? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion carries.
I neglected, I apologize. I'm goofing up right and left here today. We have a new staff person, Ryan Anderson is with us. She just called the roll. We had an election board meeting last week and we introduced Ryan at the election board meeting. So I apologize. I neglected to recognize you and introduce you today. So welcome aboard. This is your first commissioners meeting.
Thank you.
And will you be sticking around? We have a retirement board meeting. I think you can hardly wait for that. But anyway, welcome aboard, Ryan. My apology to you. I should have done this right at the beginning. So please forgive me.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you. I'll note that the board did not meet last week. We were in Adams County attending the annual County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania's conference. So that's one reason we have a long agenda today, including the warrant registers, which are submitted to us by the County Controller's Office. It's a listing of all the checks that have been cut by the Controller's Office. Today we have actually 6 of them. They are dated July 30. 2 of them are from July 31, August 6, August 8, and August 9. And Dan and Chris, I'll give you whatever time you need to look them over. And feel free to raise any questions that you might have. And then whenever you're done, I could take a motion for us to accept the warrant registers as they've been submitted. These documents we're talking about are available if anybody wishes to see them. But please take your time, gentlemen. Hey, Vanessa, while they're looking these over, we have, here again, my memory's failing me. We have a resolution on the agenda from the IT department. But do I recall, is Mr. Bordenaro on vacation this week? That's what I thought. He did talk to us about this, but he is on vacation. Okay, that explains why he's not here. Okay, I thought that was the case. Is that your recollection,
Yes.
gentlemen? Okay, he did talk to us. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Are you through looking at the warrant registers?
Absolutely accept the warrant.
Thank you, Chris. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. Gentlemen, any questions about the warrant registers? If not, I'll ask either Vanessa or Ryan to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sinata.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. In our packet are the minutes of the July 30 Commissioners meeting. Once again, we did not meet a week ago. So, gentlemen, take whatever time you need to look them over, and then whenever you're ready, I could take a motion for us to approve the minutes. Oh, there you go. We were just talking about you. We
I
thought.
was on vacation yesterday, so
Oh,
sorry for the confusion.
No, that's okay. That's all
I'm just
right.
catching up, sorry.
I'm glad you're here.
We all want your was on vacation today too.
I can leave if you want.
Since you're here, join the party. Thank you, Bill.
No problem.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Any comments or questions about the minutes? If not, we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Somewhat surprisingly, we don't have any written communications today. That's somewhat unusual, especially since we've been off for 2 weeks, but these things happen. Under commissioner reports and comments, each week, each commissioner has an opportunity to make any comments or fill us in on things that might be happening. So today, Mr. Kennedy, you get to go first.
Just a couple of things. First thing, Chris and I got to spend last Friday afternoon at the new Pittsburgh Airport Terminal. Got to tour and see what all is going on down there in Western Pennsylvania, because really it's a Western Pennsylvania airport, regional airport. Very good. Rich Fitzgerald and his team from the Southwest Commission took us on it. We had a pretty good time and got to see what all they're doing. About a year away from being done, and it'll be, everybody's complaining about the lines. Hopefully next year you won't complain about the lines. They've got a lot going on to get that fixed. So, besides that, I went to CCAP at you two, and I'll let you two fill in on everything we did. We had a busy week down there. Wore me out by the time we were done. But we had a good time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. Yes, as Dan noted, we did attend the annual County Commissioners Conference in Adams County, and gives us an opportunity to interact with commissioners from all over the Commonwealth and meet with state officials. The State Auditor General, Tim DeFore, was at one of the sessions. We had a chance to chat with him. The Secretary of the Department of State was there, Mr. Schmidt. I don't know the gentleman, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but maybe one of you did. But it was a very good conference. Temperature was in the 90s all the time we were down there, but thank goodness for air conditioning. Let me also note that yesterday, Commissioner Sanada and I had the opportunity to attend the opening ceremonies of the Lawrence County Fair. This is Fair Week, and sounds like, and I know you said you were there last night and said there was a nice crowd, and they've got great weather so far, so cross your fingers that the good weather continues and that they have a successful fair. Just two other things very quickly. I'll note that following this meeting today, there will be a quarterly meeting of the Lawrence County Retirement Board. It's open to the public. The Retirement Board, state law stipulates that in a county of our size that it's a 5-member board consisting of the 3 commissioners, the elected controller, Mr. Prestipine, and the elected treasurer, Mr. Rapone. And we meet on a quarterly basis and we'll have an update from our fiscal advisor as to the status of the pension fund. So anybody is certainly welcome to attend that. And then finally, next Monday, we're looking forward to going down to the borough of Elwood City. They're having a grand opening ribbon cutting for the Dunkin' Donuts down on 5th Street and Spring Avenue. So we appreciate the Borough Council inviting us, and we look forward to going to that. That's all I have, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Sanada.
I'll just briefly follow up on Commissioner Kennedy's our tour of the airport. It is amazing what's going there, and it's going to have a major effect on our region. And we stress, because remember, it's the SPC, it is a 10-county region. The airport goes beyond that. What we picked up there, and crowds are just growing down in Pittsburgh, so they have the ability to grow. My advice to anybody watching: go 3 hours before the flight. We were there at 4 o'clock. and that line went back. Did it go back as far as the hotel?
Just about.
I mean, that's how long, I never saw a line that long. And they're saying in the morning from 6 to 10, you're supposed to be there 3 hours before. This was at 4 o'clock. Maybe it was just a Friday. But after seeing that, I mean, it was just, I never saw a line that long. So I guess it's good that the traffic's back, but if you're a visitor, yeah. So I didn't want to just follow up on Dan's comments, because it is that, I didn't expect it to be as modern and tech savvy as what it's going to be. So it will be good for our region. And follow up with Commissioner Vogler, yesterday we did participate out there for the ribbon cutting and program, and we wish them the best, and hopefully a good crowd. The weather's supposed to be good most of the week, and it's good to see some of the young kids who I had a chance to talk to yesterday. 4-H kids I talked to afterwards, take a little walk around, and they're excited about their opportunities. So that's something big for Lawrence County. I consider that part of the tourism industry. It's part of the agriculture industry as well, but basically on the tourism board, I think that's so important to draw those thousands of people here, and some are out of town and they're here spending money. So I consider that tourism. So we want them to come and enjoy the fair. Just a few other things. I had the opportunity over the weekend. We had a few events. I know Commissioner Petty was here as well. As we got Distilling Options Network on Saturday. That was Saturday. Yeah, Friday was Pittsburgh. Yeah, Saturday night, that was a fairly big event. Miss Pennsylvania was there. And to talk about the disability community and to celebrate the ADA Act, 40 years. So that was something I think that was important to the community. And I had an opportunity on Sunday, multiple stops. I was up on the east side of Newcastle. They had their community day for the east side, Lower East Side, Elm Street area. And then stopped out in Shannock, and wasn't their community day, but they had the Rapid Tappets and the Durrells out there on their Sunday afternoon. Getting back to tourism, that's a big event every Sunday out in Shannock Township, which we've supported as a county as well. That the great music that's out there. And I ended up down Mahoney Town, and I do want to give a special shout out to the Mahoney Town Crime Watch for their great efforts that they put in down there. It was a huge success. A lot of people were down there. They do that every year, and I'm originally from Mahoney Town, so I got a chance to see some people I haven't seen for a long time, old neighbors down there. So I just think that's so important, and that's telling about the makeup of the community. You know, we have such diversity that you had 3 major events on a Sunday afternoon. So if someone said there was nothing to do Sunday, guess what? They weren't reading the paper to be out. They were all good things. So, and just following up and ending it there. I know we have a busy week this week, even going into next week. I think myself and Commissioner Kennedy are looking forward to participating in Ag Progress tomorrow. We're going to go up for the day. It's not that, and I've had an opportunity as a legislator. I was there every year with my committee for the last 12 plus, for the previous 12 years. Starting in 22, that's huge for agriculture. We will have county commissioners from around the state as well as legislators from the Ag Committee. And I talked to my former executive director of Veteran Affairs will be up there as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for both of us to be able to mingle with some of the people that are going to be there representing the county here. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Chris. We're moving on now to new business. The first 3 items on our agenda are from the planning office, and Amy McKinney, our planning director, is with us. Good morning, Amy.
How are you?
Just fine. Hope you're well. That's great to hear. The first proposed resolution, the first 2 actually go kind of hand in hand. We do this every year, as I recall. This would designate you as the Fair Housing Officer, but can you give us a little bit of background as to who's requiring this and why we've got to do it?
Yeah, and if it's okay if I could, actually 1 and 2 are because of our CDBG program. The county gets funding through the state DCD, which that funding funnels down through HUD. And HUD requires, since we do receive funding through them, that we're required to designate someone as a fair housing officer to make sure that everybody is afforded fair housing in the county. So if anybody feels that they are discriminated against, that they have the ability to call me and I can direct them to the appropriate person to help them. So we do the resolution appointing me as a fair housing officer, and each of our entitlement communities, Union, Elwood City, and Shenango, do the same. We also put an advertisement in the paper letting people know that if they feel that they have been discriminated at all in regards to fair housing, that they can contact me as well. And then the other one is the Section 504 officer, which is because we receive funding through HUD, we need to make sure that any of our programs and activities that we use CDBG funding for offers anybody with a disability, provides them, the ability to participate in those programs. And Rebecca Schaefer in my office is designated as the 504 officer. All three, Shenango, Elwood City, and Union designate her as a 504 officer as well. They pass a resolution, we do the advertisement as well. And those again are requirements under, because we receive funding through HUD.
Well, thank you for that information, very helpful. So I assume, Amy, you're recommending that we give favorable consideration to proposed resolutions 214 and 215,
Yes, please.
which will enact what you've just described. My question to my colleagues is, are you both willing to take the two of these with one motion?
Sure.
And if so, with some, forgive me, do you have questions for Amy? Do you have questions for Amy? Okay. Well, then would one of you care to make a motion for these two proposed resolutions?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded for the consideration of resolutions 214 and 215 that have been presented and described by Mrs. McKinney. If there are no other questions, we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. And then proposed resolution 216 falls under the jurisdiction of the planning office, and this involves the facade program down in the borough of Elwood City. And it looks like there's a parcel on Lawrence Avenue that the Human Services Center has applied for, but I'll let you give us the specifics.
Yes, Human Service Center has a building down in Elwood City located on 718 Lawrence Avenue. They applied for facade improvements to their building to include painting, doors, and masonry work on the building. We reviewed the application, everything was consistent with the program. We sent it to the Elwood City Steering Committee for their review and approval. They have all made the recommendation that the application be approved. The Human Service Center has done a dollar for dollar match as well. So the total project cost is a little over $10,000, but we are only allowed by DCD's requirements to give them $5,000. So based off the recommendation of the planning department and the Elwood City Steering Committee, we are asking that the commissioners approve this application to give Human Service Center $5,000.
Once again, we appreciate your giving us the information we need. Mr. Sonata, questions for Mrs. McKinney? Mr. Kennedy, any questions? Thank you. Gentlemen, would one of you care to make a motion to approve this resolution?
I move we approve the resolution for the Human Service Center in Elwood.
I'll second.
Thank you both. And if there are no other concerns, we could ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And Amy, before you go, just a quick question on the facade program, maybe specific to the borough of Elwood City. I know there's a finite amount of money, but do you know, are there still funds
There are
available?
still some funds available, yes.
Okay.
We received from the state $50,000, but we had to match that dollar for dollar. The county contributed 25 and Elwood contributed 25. So we have $100,000 that we're working with. We have probably around $20,000 left we can allocate. And the grant runs out in June of next year, which we can, if we would need to, ask for an extension.
You answered my question as far as the time frame.
Yeah, the steering committee met 2 weeks ago and they have been trying to kind of get the word out, going door to door, letting, the people know that, there is funding available. There's been some, issues with getting contractors to give quotes, contractors to come out and look, contractors to say they can do the work. We are trying to work with them. Before, that one of the requirements was they had to have 3 quotes. Well, that was one, they had issues getting 3 quotes. So as long as they showed their due diligence that they tried to get quotes, then, we would still work with them. We need to make sure that they were going to stay in the building for a certain amount of time. We didn't want people fixing up the building and then selling it and then the building deteriorating because people weren't taking care of it either. So there are requirements that they have to stick to. Some people don't want to stick to this, so.
Is my memory correct that the area designated is Lawrence Avenue and Fifth Street, or can this be another
It can,
portion of the borough?
it's kind of, it's Lawrence, 4, 6, it kind of goes up the side streets too.
Okay.
And it's only on the facade, and it has to be facing the street. It can't be like on the back side of the building. It has to be, you have to be visible from the street, so.
Thank you for that. Chris, any further
You're
questions?
saying that these are just for small businesses, correct? Or could it be a home?
No, this is for the commercial, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted,
No, it's for
sometimes you
now.
have houses down there on the
No,
main
it's
street.
for
Okay.
commercial businesses. Now, the county has the Union, the one up in Union, those are for homes, facade improvements, and that we're working with Lawrence County Community Action Partnership. But the one in Elwood City is just for businesses.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Okay, Mr. Kennedy.
Nope, thanks, Amy.
Okay, thank
You
you.
got to go first, too.
I know. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Amy. Have a great day.
Bye.
We have the next proposed resolution, number 217, comes from the Juvenile Probation Office, and I see 2 people from that office, Mr. Mimo and Mrs. Haddad. Who's going to talk? Both of you?
No, let's head to.
Ted, would you like to have a seat? Ted, thank you both for joining us. It looks as though you're wishing to apply for a grant through the Commonwealth, but assuming I'm correct, let me turn it over to you and you can fill us in.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, this grant goes on every year. It's a grant made project. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's around $158,000. It goes along with developing our JJSES improvement plan. So every year we have to answer a litany of questions and develop a plan to continue forging ahead with the juvenile justice system enhancement strategy that's required by the state. So it's essentially going after evidence-based interventions and using that monies to help with the funding of our department.
Well, and you were right on the money just about. Based on the document we have in front of us, the dollar amount's $158,104. So you were very close, Ted. And I believe if we approve this, then sometime maybe later today or tomorrow, we'll sign the necessary documents.
I have them here, so.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if Commissioner Kennedy has any questions. Okay, Mr. Sonata?
Thank you, Mr. Mimo, for your diligence and getting this done.
So my guess is that you're both recommending that we give approval to this.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking we can do that. Let me see if there's a motion for it, please.
I'll make that.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. If there are no other questions, we can take a roll call on Resolution 217.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
well, that means you have the green light.
Thank you very
So
much.
we thank you both, and you're welcome to stay, but if you have to move along, we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you both. Mr. Bill Bordenaro, who is the director of our Information Technology Department, is with us. And Bill, it's always nice to have you here. Bill had briefed us on this, I believe, last week. You met with us, and this is a grant that we're going to seek through the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. Deals with cybersecurity. And the nice thing about this grant, I don't want to steal all your thunder, but that the federal portion of the grant is about 80%, or is 80%, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania provides the final 20%. that we're seeking. So, but Bill, I'll stop and I'll let you describe it to us if you could, please.
You did a good job there. Yeah, it relates to the state and local cybersecurity grant, which we have been on for 2 years now. And so what you are voting on basically is the signing of the consent with PEMA, like you said, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, and that is to allow them to utilize devices and software that we have in place for cybersecurity. So the agreement is that they use 80% of that funding of that grant, and then the Commonwealth picks up the 20%. So like I said, we've been on it for 2 years, and they keep continuing adding more software and more options for us. So they added 2 more features this year, which is really nice. So we're going to utilize that as well. So it's a good program. Most of the counties are on them. There are a few that aren't. But,
You're recommending that we continue to be on.
I am,
right?
correct.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, do you have questions for Mr. Bordenero?
No, I think you have them all last week for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sonata?
Bill's thorough and something we need to get.
Very good. With that, we have Resolution 218 for consideration. Could I have a motion?
I move we accept Resolution 218.
I'll say.
Thank you, gentlemen, and if there are no other questions or comments, we could then take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you, Vanessa. Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate your taking the time to be with us. The next 9, if I'm not mistaken, we have 9 proposed resolutions from our Mental Health and Developmental Services Department. And Scott Baldwin, who is our very capable director of that department. What we'll do, Scott, assuming my colleagues agree, we'll start with proposed resolution 219, and can you walk us through each one? And then if Chris and Dan are willing, we could take a motion on all 9. And if they do want to separate them out, we can do that as well. But let's start, please, with number 219, the Children's Advocacy Center, Lawrence County.
So these contracts, these are all fiscal year 2025, so they will start July 1st, 2024 and run through June 30th, 2025. They're all funded under Human Services Block Grant dollars, which is no cost to the Lawrence County taxpayer. The first one is Children's Advocacy Center. This is a service that is a clinical trauma counseling service, but they also do family reunification, which are children leaving foster care. They help with that transition. That dollar amount is $70,000 for that service.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions on the first one? If not, then number 220 is Community Alternatives, Inc.
So this is another provider we've had relationships for a while. They are a mental health clinic, but they also do some case management services and also starting a crisis case management program for us this year. That total dollar amount is $150,000.
Thank you, Scott. Chris, any questions? Dan?
No.
Okay, thank you. That was number 220. Number 221 is Patch's Place.
Patch's Place, or Lawrence County Care Center up on the former West Side Elementary School. Again, a longstanding partner with us. They do a rent payee program, which helps our members manage their dollars, but also they have a drop-in center where they can go and have activities, get lunch, all variety of different services that they offer during the day. And again, no cost for our members. That contract amount is $537,100.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Kennedy, any questions? Mr. Sonata? Thank you. That was number 221. Number 222 is Lark Enterprises.
Yeah. And Lark, we're familiar with them, a longstanding partner with Lawrence County. In addition to their employment services for the mental health and our ID members. It's been very well run by Susan and her staff. They're a cornerstone of the county, and we look forward to working with them closely. So again, that contract amount is for $509,936.
Thank you. I've got to make an editorial comment here. I had the privilege for, my goodness, about 20 years to serve on their board of directors, and I stepped aside at the end of last year. So you would recall that every meeting I would have to announce for the record that I did serve on their board, but was not compensated. So we had that as part of the record. That allowed me to vote, but I don't have to make that statement any longer. I would strongly suggest to my two colleagues, although maybe they've both been to the facilities, both in Shenango and the Shannon Township, that if you ever want to see what they do, it's worth an afternoon or a morning. And maybe we can give Susan a call someday and she can invite my two colleagues out. It's well worth the time. They do great work. Gentlemen, any questions on number 222?
I echo what you said, Sharon. It's been a while since I've been out there, but they do excellent work. We could possibly get Dan to go out there and,
I was going to go and make it something else.
yeah.
I'm not going to get rescheduled.
That is something, we should reschedule.
I'll send an email.
Yeah, like I said, we can do that, when it works within the schedule. I would like to see it again. Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Number 223 is Achieve Rehabilitation Services and Support at West Washington Street, Newcastle.
Achieve, they are a psychiatric rehabilitation service, and that's a service where it's skill building. So this helps our members how to do laundry, how to clean, how to take a bus. They do it in groups, but they also do it in the community and in their homes. So it's more than just giving people counseling and medication. This is sort of an actual skill building program that helps really in areas that traditionally folks struggle with. So they're busy, and we're really happy to support that program. So that dollar amount is $25,000.
Thank you, Scott. Chris, any questions?
No.
Thank you. Dan? Okay, thank you. The Alliance for Nonprofit, which is based in Butler County, this is number 224.
So A&R, they support our intellectual disability program. They have a program called a Family Liaison, which just sort of helps promote our services to families that are not really sure how to navigate a very complicated system. But they also do investigations for us. And we are starting a new electronic system called E-Systems, which helps sort of gets rid of our paper, allows us to not store files anymore. We can put them electronically in the system that they manage for. So it's very well. They're used really in all of the surrounding counties. They're very large and Butler, so we're happy to partner with them. So that dollar amount is $125,000.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kennedy, questions? Mr. Sonata? Thank you. Number 225 is Vocational and Psychological Services based in Butler County. But do they have a satellite office here in Lawrence County?
Okay, North Street. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, vocational psychological. Yeah, another provider that we lean on to a lot for services. They do a combination of both intellectual disability services, which are home and community companion services, but also on the mental health side, they do our respite program, which we usually amend during the year because it's very busy. It's sort of a respite program that allows caregivers and family members to go to appointments and we watch and care for those that they have in their home. But also we're looking at using them in our early Head Start program, just for behavioral support. They've reached out to us, Head Start, for additional support in that program. So we're going to use both site to behavior modification for kids that, they're 3 and 4 year olds, the first time sitting in a classroom and that can present different challenges. So Oak Site's going to help us with that program to sort of help the teachers, kids on task, and get them through the day. So that program for Oak Site is $230,000.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Sonata, do you have any questions on this one? No. Mr. Kennedy?
You said in the schools. Do you do this in every school?
No, this is just our Head Start program.
I'm glad Dan asked that. And just for my own clarification, the Head Start program itself, is that not run by Lawrence County Community Action Partnership?
As it will.
And this agency that we're referencing, Vocational Psychological Services, then would work with the folks at LCAP. Do I have that right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so LCAP reached out to us just for support. And we have some programs already there, but there's, mental health is growing, as we all know. So as the needs and requests come in, we sit down with them and see what those needs are and go to one of our close providers like Oakside to help us sort of problem solve some of this.
And then that triggers another question. I'm glad Kathy's here because one or both of you can answer this. And forgive my failing memory. There's obviously the Head Start program here in the city of Newcastle. There's also one in Elwood City. Am I correct?
There's West End School.
Yes.
The main hub in Elwood.
Yes,
But then there's a lot of school-based sites as well.
I see.
So there's a classroom, Neshannock, Laurel, Mohawk, Wilmington.
They're all fall under the Head Start umbrella.
Right, but have a,
So it
classrooms.
kind of goes back to Mr. Kennedy's question that the program you're discussing is specific to Head Start, but it's throughout the county.
Right.
But specifically Head Start.
Right.
Okay.
For students.
I'm glad you asked that. That helps me get a better handle. Yeah, precisely. Does that trigger any more questions for you?
This also is at LCAP's facility, that new school out there. Do you have it out there too or not?
Fruit Mill, yes, the
Yeah.
classroom, any classroom that we have, Head Start funding touching.
We got to tour that. That's a nice facility.
Jen Elliott.
Jen Elliott.
Yeah, does a great job out there.
We gave them some ARPA money for that, as you would recall. Thank you, Dan. And Kathy, thank you for helping us with that. Chris, any other questions? Oh, okay, thank you so much. That was number 225. Now, these next two, I'm seeing that we're amending current agreements. Am I reading that right, Scott?
We're adjusting contracts from last year and added some dollars to them.
Oh, okay, so the first one is the Arise, also known as the Crisis Shelter up on State Street here in the city of Newcastle. Can you fill us in on that, please?
So, again, we said before, the beauty of the block grant allows us flexibility with dollars. And as these needs arise and we have the unspent dollars, we get to shift them and move them to where the need is. And we've done this a lot with Arise and the women's shelter. Nicole Mabel is doing just a fantastic job there. And we overlap the same clients, right? So as women are leaving the women's shelter and they've received a lot of mental health supports, we can braid our funding together. So this really makes sense to help them. So they sent in a request just for more housing support. And as we looked at our dollars and where we had money unspent, we were able to assist them with an additional $157,160, which amends their contract from $105 up to $262,160. And it just was a good way to use those funds, and I know it goes to a good spot. So.
My understanding is that when you get towards the end of the fiscal year and you have these dollars available, if you don't earmark them and allocate them, they go back to the Commonwealth. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a percentage we're allowed to carry over to the next year. So I think it's 4% of the overall block grant. We get the act, we have the right to the state how we're planning on using them, but we can carry them over. But you're right, Dan, anything above that percentage goes back. And the state's been wonderful allowing us to be problem solvers. They don't want the money back. They want us to go to the community. So as you guys hear requests that come in, please let us know. We're happy to get those dollars out and get them where they need to be.
We had, you had indicated that this was the scenario or the set of circumstances, and it just so happened that the three of us had an opportunity to speak with one of the board members of Arise and let her know that this was in the works, and I think she was very pleased to hear that. Mr. Sanada, do you have questions for Mr. Baldwin?
No, just continue what you said. I think this is important. We appreciate your efforts, Scott, especially for Arise, because they do a great job up there. And I just think this shows that when we look for ways of helping some of these organizations, there's different avenues to pursue. And you've been very helpful in this case, because I know when we had talked to the Arise a while back about trying to get some money for them, we didn't have money available from one pot with ARPA. So we looked at other sources and working with you. I'm just pleased we were able to be successful to help them. And you were able to find the additional dollars to transfer to help. Because I know they have needs, and we're just happy to be able to assist them. So thank you especially for helping solve this need.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy.
No, just thanks, Scott. We sat down with them. They were, so it's good to do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Number 227 is your final proposed resolution, Scott, and this involves amending a current contract with Patches Place, if I'm reading it correctly.
Yeah, it's a very small amount, but we went over their original contract amount last year. We had to add $6,000 to it. And again, these are just miscellaneous expenses that come at the end of the year. Some of this was buying promotional items. Some of it was just daily business that we just don't plan for in the budget. So it's a small amount, but it is $6,000. So their contract from last year was from $490,956.93 up to $496,956.93.
And that is noted in the resolution, those exact figures. Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, any questions? No. Thank you. Mr. Sonata?
That's the care center.
The care center,
I
I'm
was-
sorry, yeah.
I remember Patch's Place when it was different.
Yeah,
And I was thinking in my mind, so would say that, and I know the care center, I think that's another worthy
they do
organization.
great work. Megan Holly and her staff.
Yeah,
and
I had an
they're
opportunity to tour there
very
a few years back, and they've been very responsive to the community, especially up that end of town. So we're just happy to be able to continue that relationship. There's a lot of good organizations in our community that put these things out. And I know you deal with it a lot, Scott, seeing, especially with the health, community health. That's such mental health is such a critical issue right now. But these avenues out there are providing so much to the community on this. This cost efficient that we can help these people to help early on. So, all right, so thanks again, Scott.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, Mr. Baldwin has presented resolutions 219 up through and including 227. If you are so willing, I could entertain a motion to cover approval of all of them, unless you want to break any of them out. But if not, would you be willing to make a motion for resolutions 219 up through and including 227?
I'll make a motion that we combine them all, the resolutions, and vote them as one.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Any final questions or comments that either of you might have? If not, Scott, we thank you, and we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Scott, it's always a pleasure to see you, and we always appreciate your professionalism. And you're welcome to stay, but if you got to move along.
I got a meeting too.
We understand. Thank you, Scott.
Good to see you at the fair.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a number of proposed resolutions from Children and Youth Services. Mr. Grifo is with us, as is Lisa Haddad. Lisa gets to go first. And Lisa, it's always nice to see you here. And let's see, number 228 is a proposed contract with, and then we've got the supporting document that I always really appreciate from you folks. Cornell Abraxas Group LLC based in Allegheny County. I'll let you fill us in, please.
Sure, this would be a renewal contract for a residential placement facility that we use primarily in JPI. I think CBOS has the ability to use them, it hasn't. I'll just briefly remind you, we have pretty much two levels of supervision when it comes to having to remove a child from home and place. We're either at a community-based level or an institutional-based level. Community-based would be an 80-20 reimbursement from the state, 80%, 20% county. This level is an institution, it's at a higher level. It's only a 60-40 reimbursement, so 60% from the state and 40% from the county. This is a placement that we typically use for more serious type offenders with charges potentially coming straight out from court, or those that have had multiple violations and we've gotten ourselves to this level of removal. But we pretty much use them potentially for either sex offenders, fire setters, those kind of higher level charges. But this is probably one of the, if I say the big three, if you will, across the state. Cornell Abraxas is one of them. and we very much would like to renew contract with them.
Thank you very much. Let me see if Mr. Kennedy has questions.
Nothing. Seems like we have nobody there right now this year.
Not at the moment, there are no current placements, correct?
Thank you, Dan. Mr. Sonata? No? Okay. Once again, gentlemen, we have 5 of these. Would you be willing to take them as a group? Okay. Thank you. So number 229, thanks again, Lisa.
Thanks.
Number 229, looks like Mike's going to take the driver's seat now. Okay, Mike Grippo is with our Children and Youth Services Office, and the next proposed resolution is with CSI Corporate Security and Investigations of Monaca, Beaver County. Mike, can you fill us in, please?
Yeah, this is actually a new provider that we just are going to get contract with, hopefully. When we do family findings and, remove children or adoption, a lot of times when we send out notice, it comes back under the. So we do have one, Check Your Mate, that we use out of Butler. And this is another one to help us find the family when we need to go to court and stuff like that for adoption.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if Chris has any questions. No, thank you, Chris. Mr. Kennedy? No questions. Okay, thank you. That was number 229. Number 230 is the Children's Home of Pittsburgh, based in Allegheny County. Mike, can you fill us in on this one, please?
Yeah, this is a renewal. This is a foster care we've used for several years. It ranges from $66 to $83 a day. If you go back to the children's home sheet, the 4-year look back, what we did was, if you look at the per diem, on the third one down and the fourth one down are the 2 that we used. They were asking for $74 a day, which was about a 15.88%, and we got them down to 7.99%. And then the one below that, the fourth one down, they were asking for 15.29%, which is $76 a day, and we got them down to 7.99%. So we let them keep the 3 rates that we don't use.
Yeah.
We negotiated the 2 that we use. So currently we have 1 child placed there.
Thank you, Mike. Dan, questions for Mike? No? Chris? Oh, okay, thank you. Number 231 is AmGuard Inc., also based in Allegheny County. Mike, what can you tell us about this one?
Okay, AmGuard is the security guy at our office, right? Okay, he's been with us for several years. Again, it's something that we renew every year. It shows what the bill rate is and what his wage is. So yeah, he's our security guard at the office. He does a great job protecting us.
You answered my question, which was simply going to be, are you satisfied with the services they're
Yes,
providing? And it
yes,
sounds
we are.
like you are.
Yeah.
So thank you. Mr. Sonata, questions? No? Mr. Kennedy?
No, he still checks on me every time I come in.
It makes you sign in?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, that's good. And then I believe the final one you have for us is Everstand. Looks like their corporate offices are in Baltimore, Maryland, but you have a parentheses here, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
There's a location
Cumberland
there.
County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the Board of Child Care of the United Methodist Church is under W-9 on the first line, and then Everstand. But it's new, it's a group home. Again, this is more for a backup. We get in situations where we'll reach out and go out 3 or 4 providers that are willing to take a kid, so we'll get a contract, and a lot of times they may not even go there. So this is just a backup that we're gonna use in case we need them. And it's a new provider.
Okay, thank you for noting that as well. Let's see if Mr. Kennedy has any questions.
So this just one, so we don't have to take them to Philadelphia?
Hopefully,
Good.
yeah, hopefully, we're getting.
Mechanicsburg is closer to
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Getting closer and closer. to our location.
Right.
But yeah, I've never done so many Philadelphia contracts in the last year or
If
so.
we don't have to do that, we'll be better off.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else, Dan? Okay, thank you. Chris, any questions on this one? Well, Mr. Grippo has presented to us proposed resolutions 228 up through and including 232. And if my colleagues are so willing, I could entertain a motion for us to approve all 5 of them as they've been submitted.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Thank you both gentlemen. Any final questions for Mr. Grippo? If not, we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mike, great to see you as always.
Thank you.
You have a great day, sir.
You too.
Enjoy the weather.
I'll see you next week.
Okay,
Yeah, I will.
that's fine.
Mike, it's every weekend.
You can't stay away from
I know.
us. Kathy, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did you have an issue that,
No, well, I thought I was here for HSCF and half, but I don't see it on the agenda today.
no,
So I can come back next week or whenever we get back.
does that ring a bell, Vanessa?
Yeah, there was emails back and forth. But really, it's part of the HSTG. So I do think probably it's something that should come as part of his
Mr.
presentation.
Grippo?
No, Scott.
Oh, Mr. Baldwin.
But we had replied back and forth
Okay,
about,
I'll look through my emails.
no big deal, but
Well, does it put you under a time constraint if we?
No.
Okay,
no, these funds come through the county to us. We've administered them for as long as I've been there.
okay.
And there was some question from Scott whether we needed a contract or not, but we would like a contract. So that's where we,
I'm sorry, it is
Yeah.
ringing a bell now. Okay.
Oh,
so we wanted,
Okay.
we wanted to make sure that we had that in place, just for our auditing purposes, but we've already, the first quarter has already come through. We've been paid. We just
Yes.
want to have a contract in
Oh,
place.
certainly. Well, can you coordinate that with Vanessa so that we can,
Yeah.
next week at least, have a
Yeah, I
Okay.
have it upstairs, so
Okay.
I'll make sure. it's
Yeah,
on
no
the
problem.
Feel bad you had
So
to,
I learned a lot though today. It's always a good thing to come and hear what's going on.
and you're welcome to stay. We're gonna go through a real exciting part of
I know.
transferring money, which is somewhat dull. But if you have to leave, we
I'll take
understand.
off and I didn't want to interrupt before.
Oh, no, in fact, I apologize if we kept you this long. I thought maybe you had something tied in with either Scott or
Well,
Mike.
then I didn't know, maybe when you said HSBG, I thought, well, maybe he tied it into his, because it is, those two contracts come through the HSBG. So really, it probably should come.
He could have, but I have them upstairs.
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we'll
okay.
make sure.
So more than likely, a week from now, we'll have them and,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Appreciate your understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As noted, we now move on to some transfer requests. Number 233 comes from the voter's office, and this would take $1,200 from the commissioner's contingency account and earmark that to the voters' land and building line item, which is essentially the storage fees that they pay. If I'm not mistaken, I think down at the mines.
Correct.
Okay, so this will cover those costs. This is proposed resolution 233. May I have a motion? Well, let me stop. Are there questions before I ask for a motion? Okay, may I have a motion?
I move we accept.
I'll second.
Thank you. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Proposed resolution 234. This one I do have a question about. Now, what it is it's a proposal to take $4,675 from the commissioner's contingency into the bridge maintenance line item. We had to do some guide rail repairs at the county-owned Nashua Road Bridge in Pulaski Township. And Mr. Vanasco might be the person, or maybe you, Vanessa, that can answer this. Would this not be liquid fuel money?
Yes, we are. Dave changed the account. It's coming out of the 4143 If you see up top.
Oh,
he
yes, I see that
scratched
scratched.
my- He just didn't scratch out Commissioner.
Oh, so what should we?
This will be coming out of liquid fuels.
Okay, very good.
And it is for the guide rail repair.
Okay, so on the left, the new number that was written in is correct. We need to scratch Commissioner's contingency and put
It
liquid
is the
fuel.
liquid fuels contingency.
Okay, and everything on the right side is accurate.
Correct.
It was for the repair at the Nashville. Okay, that, you probably caught the same thing. Well, knowing that, you've answered my question. Are there other questions on this one? If not, may I have a motion for proposed resolution 234?
Yes, I'll say it.
No, thank you,
I'll
thank you,
second.
Dan, and thank you, Chris. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Just to reiterate, the money for this transfer is coming from the liquid fuels contingency, not the commissioner's contingency.
Correct.
Thank you
You're
very,
welcome.
very much.
Sure.
The next ones, gentlemen, we can take as a group if you're so willing. Let me read through them. Stop me if you have questions. And then at the end, we can either take them as a group, or if you need to split them out, we can do that. Domestic Relations is asking for a transfer from their contingency line item of $1,898 into that of the refuse hauling line item. We're gonna see this from some other departments. It looks as though our garbage carrier must have raised their rates. I'm assuming that's the case. We did not anticipate when we put the budget together. So that's the first request. Adult Probation has a similar request. They're asking that $1,872.80 be taken from their contingency into the line item of refuse hauling. The Planning Office is asking for a $1,000 transfer from their contingency into their Staples line item, Staples being the office supply company. They saw that there was an increase in paper that is used for their plotter, and also they had to replace their paper shredder. So that accounts for this request of a transfer. The district attorney is asking for a total of $15,945.45 as follows. From their contingency, $5,249 going into their criminal investigation line item. From their toxicology line item, $136 into their association dues line item. From their contingency account, $89.45 into their association dues line item. From their contingency, $4,381.76 into the criminal investigation line item. And finally, from their materials and supplies line item, $6,089.24 into their criminal investigation line item. The voter's office is asking for a transfer of $60,000 coming from their line item of contracted services into their line item of materials and supplies. The maintenance office is asking for a transfer of $6,000 from their contingency into the refuse hauling line item. Once again, we must have seen an increase from that company. The maintenance office is also looking for a $19,000 transfer from the liquid fuels contingency line item into the liquid fuels maintenance and repair line item. This is for ongoing maintenance of all county bridges, which I believe includes grass cutting, weed whacking, that's sweeping, that sort of thing.
Bridges and power washing. Boats are covered bridges too, the one in Carl's Mills.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't realize, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
The young man was here one day, was telling me what he was doing.
Good. We always seem to have an issue out at the Hilltown Bridge in Mahoning Township with graffiti. And it just seems like every time we spray or cover it over, it seems like overnight it pops up again. I don't know why that bridge gets targeted, but it does. Didn't mean to digress. District Judge Amodi is asking for a transfer of $1,195 from her line item of temporary part-time staff into maintenance and repairs. And adult probation is asking for a total of a $5,000 transfer. It's all coming from travel and training. $3,500 is going into their materials and supplies, and $1,500 is going into their Staples office supply line item. The Public Safety Office is asking for a $30,000 total transfer. It's all going into part-time salaries. And let's see, $10,000 is coming from their HVAC line item, $10,000 is coming from repairs, and $10,000 is coming from wireless connectivity. Human Resources is asking for a total transfer of $8,000 as follows. They're taking $1,000 from employee insurance and benefits going into the salary of staff line item, $500 from employee insurance and benefits. Incidentally, all of these on this page are coming from employee insurance and benefits. 500 of that's going into salary of personnel. 4,000 is going into testing expenses, meaning when they have to test potential new hires. $1,500 into minor equipment and $1,000 into materials and supplies, and that amounts to $8,000. Finally, the public defender is asking for a $179 transfer from his contingency into that of subscriptions for the purchase of updated law books. Gentlemen, do you have any questions on any of these transfer requests? Hearing none, are you willing to make a motion, a blanket motion for all of them?
I completely accept all
I'll second that.
Thank you both, and if there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
of them. Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We almost are reaching our conclusion. I know we had a long meeting today, but again, we didn't meet last week. Speaking of meetings, the commissioners will reconvene a week from today, August 20 at 10 a.m. in this room. It's open to the public. As noted earlier, the retirement board will convene here in probably about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. That meeting is open to the public. The Lawrence County Planning Commission was scheduled to have their monthly meeting tomorrow at noon, but that has been canceled. So they will most likely meet in September. The county's opioid advisory board meeting will take place on Tuesday, August 20 at 12 noon, and in this room, open to the public. And the prison board will meet on Wednesday, August 21 at 12 noon in this room, also open to the public. Those are our announcements. And that takes us to public comment. And we have a member of the public with us who's stuck through a whole meeting. So you should give an award for that.
It was a long one.
They're very dry, but Mrs. Hahn, any public comments?
I do have a question, and it's regarding the right to know policy that was passed, resolution on the July 23rd. What prompted that policy?
Our solicitor and our deputy solicitor had made note of the fact that the State County Commissioners Association and I believe PSATs, the State Association of Township Supervisors officials, were recommending to counties and townships at least that they consider such documents. And I'll be honest, I'm assuming other counties have done so. I don't know that for a fact, and I'm assuming that some townships have done it. I don't know that for a fact. But that's the explanation that was given to us by the solicitor, both the chief solicitor and the deputy solicitor.
Okay, so the recommendations come from outside the county.
Yes.
I had previously requested from our open records officer the log that the right to know law instructs agencies to keep. So you can see when the request comes in, when they need to respond. And the response was she doesn't keep a log, which I would recommend that she do. She simply said she just keeps a file and then makes notes on it. But there's then, I mean, what are you gonna do? Review all the files when you're taking a look at, well, are we getting inundated? Do we have a problem with answering? Do we have a problem getting in appeals? Then you'd have a report. And so other counties are passing this resolution also.
I'm
aware.
assuming they are, but I don't.
I know of at least one other, because of these notices sent out by these independent associations. And also townships. So Wilmington Township last week also had proposed a resolution, which I objected to. And my main objection in that policy was there is an insertion where the solicitor essentially becomes involved in the right to know request process at the request stage, which is contrary to the right to know law. The agency open records officer is supposed to handle this. The law is only 30 pages long. It's really not that difficult. So our open records officers should be able to manage that. And if there's a disagreement between the requester and the appeals officer, then they can file an appeal. And then the solicitor can get involved. At the township level, that would actually require, under the Sunshine Law, that action of having the solicitor involved in that appeal process should be made in a public meeting. The rules are a little bit different with county commissioners because you have staff, as attorneys on staff. But it does seem to me that, I guess my suggestion, obviously yours has already passed, but and I made the suggestion to Wilmington Township that they have the Office of Open Records review the policy and make sure it is complying with the right to know law, especially as far as the solicitor's involvement. The right to know requests can be very expensive, as the county knows. So I just wanted to ask that question about where that came from. I had a suspicion that it came from this independent association. That's very troubling to me personally, because this is not a government agency. The people on that board are actually made up of commissioners and supervisors who are subject to the right to know law. So the fact that they're recommending things that are restricting, in my mind, access to the public records is a conflict. That's my comment.
Thank you, and they'll be noted for the record. Thank you very much, and appreciate your patience today.
No problem.
And
I don't want to keep everybody who's here that,
You're within your rights to speak, and we're going to adjourn in just a moment. You're welcome to stay for the retirement board if you'd like.
I'll pass.
Okay, this is board.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Hahn.
Sure.
Any other public comments? Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Mr. Sanada? No? Mr. Kennedy? Okay, thank you. Ladies, have we forgotten anything? All righty, we appreciate everyone joining us today. And Bill, as always, may I please have an adjournment motion? Was there something else?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. And Bill, you probably caught, you're going to turn us off and then turn us on again, right?
Look, I
Come on in, Dave. I'm sure he'll show up. Are we on?
We are.
Thank you, sir. And we're on that end. Good. Well, thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome, everybody. I will call to order this meeting of the Lawrence County Salary Board. Today is Tuesday, July 2, 2024. And a couple housekeeping items. Here comes Chris. We'll note that we just got started. I apologize. You're fine. Take your time. We would ask if you have a cell phone, if you'd be kind enough, put it on vibrate or silent. We appreciate that courtesy. This meeting was appropriately advertised, I believe, on Saturday in the Newcastle News in the legal ads. So we've met the Sunshine Law requirements. I should also note for the record that the Salary Board held 2 executive sessions to discuss personnel matters, one on May 28 and one on June 18. And as we've commented in the past, the state law, the county code that governs how we handle our matters here at the courthouse stipulates that anytime a change is made in the salary of a non-union or management person, or a new position is created or eliminated, that has to be done at a public meeting, and it has to be done by the 4 permanent members of this board. And the permanent members are the 3 commissioners and the elected county controller. When another elected official has an issue to be brought before the board, they become a temporary voting member of that board for their issue only. Now, today we have requests from Children and Youth Services and the Information Technology Department. Now, these 2 gentlemen are not elected officials, so as such, they do not have a vote on the matters that they are requesting. And again, that's based on state law. So the 4 of us will be the, as President Bush used to say, the deciders. You might remember he said that at one point. He said, "I'm the decider." But that's how we're structured, and that's how we go about this process. We always do start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then if you'd remain standing for a moment of silence, Mr. Prestafine, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you all. Vanessa, would you call the roll, please?
Controller Prestafine?
Here.
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. Thank you. We do have a quorum. All 4 members are in attendance. Explanation of procedures. We've gone over some of that. I will note that we will have 2 opportunities for public comment, one in just a moment or 2, and then one before we adjourn. If you do have a public comment or question, we ask that it be related to salary board matters, if you could, please. And that does take us to public comments. Hayden, you're our public today. Do you have any questions for us at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you. And again, we'll before we adjourn today, we'll give you a second opportunity. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us. And before I move on to the minutes, let me ask my colleagues, any opening comments or concerns? David, anything? Mr. Sonata? No. Mr. Kennedy? No. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. In our packet, and Hayden, I'll be giving you this set of documents when we're done here today.
Okay.
You have an agenda, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. We have the minutes of the last meeting of the Salary Board, which was held on March 26th of 2024. Gentlemen, I'll give you time to look these minutes over, and then whenever you're ready, if one of you would care to make a motion, and then if another would offer the second, we can vote on these minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that motion. Thank you both, and bless you. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call, please.
Controller Prestafine?
Yes.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. First item on the agenda this morning, Children and Youth Services has made a request of us, a couple of requests, and John Bout serves as the director of that office. John, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
just for, as you're getting settled in, just for some background, and I'll let you elaborate. Mr. Bout brought to our attention within the last 4 to 6 weeks that there was federal funding made available to his office that could be utilized for enhancements to or incentives to the employees at CYS. Like very many counties in Pennsylvania, this is not unique to Lawrence County, but in very many counties, CYS offices are facing a challenge of finding and keeping employees. It's very challenging work. It's not easy work. And it takes a special person to do the type of work that these folks do. And with the inflationary pressures that we've all been experiencing, it's made it all the more difficult. So as a result, Mr. Bout, in consultation with the state regulators with whom he works, determined that we might be able to use these federal funds as retention incentives. And we've done that actually already with the union folks. The salary board does not get involved in union rates of pay. That is done through a negotiated contract. And you may recall that a few weeks ago, the 3 commissioners did vote to implement some incentives for the union employees at CYS. And I believe what you're coming to us today with are some proposals that deal with the non-union and management people. If I've stated that correctly, I'll turn it over to you and let you fill us in with all the specifics.
Thank you, and good morning, and I appreciate the board's time and consideration. Commissioner, I appreciate your opening remarks as well, as they were spot on and a good reflection of the last few weeks. The first position, or the first, resolution pertains to a $2,000 retention incentive for non-union employees, which mirrors what was previously done for the union staff. Some of the comments that you had, I just want to reiterate that the funding is federal. It's through the Family First Transition Act, and there is 0 county match. So this first $2,000 request for a retention incentive is 100% covered by the federal dollars, and we have been encouraged to move forward with a retention incentive as recommended by the Office of Children, Youth, and Families at the state level, because of not just here in Lawrence, but as you stated, across the Commonwealth, struggles in child welfare with retaining staff.
Thank you, John. Vanessa, what number would we assign this?
18.
Thank you. And I'll note that the resolution presented to us includes the following positions who would receive this one-time $2,000 incentive. The Foster Kinship Program Supervisor, the Foster Program Care Specialist, CYS Solicitor, CYS Deputy Director 1, CYS Deputy Director 2, and the CYS Director. The language in the proposed resolution uses the word bonus, and this is semantics. I don't consider this to be technically a bonus. I think this is, as the state and feds have pointed out, this is more of an incentive. So I think we need to focus on, I might be splitting hairs here a little bit, but I look upon this as an incentive for these folks. I'm going to see if my colleagues have questions of Mr. Bout. I'll start with Mr. Kennedy. Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Prestipine?
Well, just a clarification, there's 6 positions listed here, but there are actually 7 employees because there are 2 people with one of these positions. One of these positions, there's 2 positions on it. So it's actually 14,000 on 12,000.
Do you know which
I think it's the Foster Program Care Specialist.
That's correct.
I believe there are 2 of them?
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
Everybody else just.
I'll just note on here that that's 2 positions. Thank you. Thank you, David. Anything else? Mr. Sanada?
No, I do agree with you, Chairman. I think the word incentive is so important. I don't look at it as a bonus either. I think it's incentive. That's what the intent of our federal government is, and that's our intent as well. So,
Correct, I agree.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Anything else? Okay. What? Did I take a motion? I need a motion. Thank you. May I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. I apologize. I had a little slip there. We have the motion and the second for proposed resolution 18. Are there any other questions? Or Mr. Bowd, anything else you wish to offer?
No, not this time.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call, please.
Controller Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Proposed resolution 19. You're looking for a stipend for individuals, and incidentally, I neglected to state at the outset. When salary board meets in public, we talk about the positions. We don't name names because one particular individual might be here and next week they might move on. They might retire, they might move to another position. So our role is to talk about the positions in county government. That's why you don't see names listed here. But your folks in your office, and I'll let you elaborate, obviously you're not an 8 to 4 office. Emergencies happen at midnight, at 3 a.m., sometimes over the weekends. And you have to have people on your staff on call when those situations arise. So you're looking at a $200 weekly stipend for that on call, but I'm gonna let you elaborate on this if you would, please.
Yes, and so our office is a 24/7, 365 operation. By law, we have to have the ability to respond every day of the year at all hours for safety issues pertaining to a child's welfare. And so I come before you for this request. We have, as was stated earlier, 2 foster program care specialists and 1 foster kinship supervisor. The 3 of those staff members rotate. They take a week at a time, the 3 of them, and across all 52 weeks, and support our efforts when we're granted emergency custody by the court to locate a facility or a foster home or assist in locating a kinship home, so a family member or close association of a child. So the staff members have currently been on call for now multiple years and have received no compensation while being on call. And so it works out that over the course of the year, we're talking about over 7,000 on-call hours. And in our Act 148 state budget this year, the state granted us funding to support a $200 a week stipend for these positions. And so that works out to be a total expense of $10,400, which is budgeted, of which 20% would be county cost, which is $2,080. And again, when you tease that out over the number of hours that they are working on call, we're talking about $1.48 an hour. And so when you look at the landscape of child welfare, there are times where when we have to place a child, we will access more than 100 programs. With those programs, sadly, denying children, and so we have to keep working a list, and we start local and then we expand out, sometimes having to contact providers even in the Philadelphia area. But this staff is accessing provider contacts and working diligently to help our most vulnerable children in time of crisis.
John, thank you for that. And just to reiterate, budgeted $10,400. Of that, the 2,080 comes from the county. The balance would be from the Commonwealth.
That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Prestipine, do you have questions for Mr. Bell?
No, just same thing as the last resolution, was foster care programs, but there are two of them, so it's actually, it's 3 people that this is going to affect. There's only 2 on the resolution, because they wanted to take it last time. These are non-exempt people, personnel, so they're already eligible for it.
Thank you for noting that, and we'll make that part of the record. Thank you, David. Anything else? Chris? No? Dan, any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, may I have a motion for proposed resolution 19?
I will support resolution 19.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you both, gentlemen. Any final comments? Let's take a roll call, please.
Controller Prestipine,
Yes,
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Proposed resolution 20. Once again, I'll let John give all the details, but this resolution would create an administrative assistant 1 position at a salary that would be based upon the current collective bargaining agreement with the ASCME union. And we would eliminate on the books a receptionist position upon the hiring of this administrative assistant 1 position that's created in this resolution. John, you want to give us any further detail on this?
Yes, in our current budget, that started July 1st, our Act 148 funds allotted us an administrative assistant 1 position. And so we are looking to add that position, which is in our budget, and eliminate a receptionist position. We are not looking to expand the workforce. We're looking to maintain level staffing, but to be in alignment with our current state budget, we would need to add an administrative assistant 1, and then eliminate the receptionist position. And there is a differential in pay between those 2 positions of $3,152.97, of which the differential to the county for the year is $630.59, as 80% of that differential is covered by state funding.
John, thank you. Chris, do you have questions for John? Thank you. Dan, anything? Thank you. Mr. Prestipine?
Nope.
Thank you, gentlemen. May I have a motion for proposed resolution 20?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second? Second. Thanks, Dan. If there are no other comments or concerns, I'll ask Vanessa to call the roll, please.
Controller Prestipine,
Yes,
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And your final proposal today, this is number 21. You're looking at the creation of 3 program specialist 1 positions, which would be union positions. So the salary would be based upon the current collective bargaining agreement that we have with ASCME. And that you're proposing creation of 3 program specialist 2 positions. Also, salary will be based upon the current contract that we have with the union. 3, at no time shall the CYS office exceed 3 employees total as either a program specialist 1 and or a program specialist 2. And finally, all other program specialist 1 and program specialist 2 positions that were created in prior resolutions will be eliminated. So John, I'll let you give us any more detail that you might have.
So this resolution is supported in our Act 148 state budget, and it would give us the flexibility to backfill vacancies already approved, and along with allowing people in those positions to be eligible for promotion. The job description for a program specialist 2 position has or has two qualifiers: 12 months as a program specialist 1 or a master's degree. And so this resolution which is consistent with our state budget, would allow us to have the opportunity for a career ladder for program specialist 1, while giving us flexibility that if an individual moves on, again, there's a path forward for them to go from a program specialist 1 to a program specialist 2. We also look at this resolution as an effort to support retention of existing staff members, again, as they see themselves having an opportunity for promotion, either based on advanced education or time within the program specialist 1 position.
Thank you, John. Again, just not to beat a dead horse, but these steps that we're taking in large part are a response to the fact that it's become very challenging for us to attract and keep employees. The private sector, we compete with the private sector, and in many instances they're able to offer higher salaries. And quite frankly, we compete with a couple larger counties that have that ability as well. And I know you've had lengthy discussions with the folks with whom you work at the state level, looking for ways to stabilize the revolving door that, again, is not unique to Lawrence County.
Correct.
And I appreciate these steps that you're taking. The other thing I do want to note, most all of our departments and offices here in the county do have, to one extent or another, relationships or even oversight from the Commonwealth. Now, it varies from office to office, and I don't mean to pick on Mr. Bordenaro, but our IT department doesn't really have a lot of regulation from the Commonwealth. You have some, but not a whole lot. You, on the other hand, Mr. Bowden, you have extensive regulation and oversight from the Commonwealth. You're probably dealing with people at the Department of Human Services on probably a daily basis, I would offer. And so much of this ties in with the work you do with them and the guidance and direction that you oftentimes receive from them. So I just want to, and I hope I haven't misstated anything.
You have not.
Okay, thank you. Anything else before I turn it over to my colleagues for questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kennedy, do you have questions for John?
Not at all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Prestipine?
No, just to clarify, this isn't adding any positions to his roster. He has 3 before, he's gonna have 3 now. This just allows him to move them between the 2 positions, between the 2 levels, I guess, of the position.
That's correct. I appreciate your noting that. Thank you. Anything else, Dave? Chris, anything for Mr. Bound?
Dave answered that question. So.
Thank you. Gentlemen, would one of you care to make a motion for proposed resolution 21?
I move we support resolution 21.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, both Chris and Dan. If there are no other comments, I'll request that Vanessa take the roll.
Controller Prestipine,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. John, I think, is that all you have for us today?
That's all I have this time.
When we adjourn, would you have a quick second that I could chat with you?
Yes.
Okay, won't take long.
All right.
Unless you have to leave. Did you have to leave?
No, I will be
Okay.
here for the.
Or are you coming for the 10 o'clock
Yes.
meeting? Okay, thank you. I won't keep you long.
All right.
Thank you. The final matter that we have on the agenda comes from our Information Technology Department. Bill Bordenaro is the director of that department. And Bill, welcome.
Hello, gentlemen.
Little history. This department, when I came here as commissioner, if my memory serves me correctly, was a 3-person department. And at one point, probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago, one of those 3 people retired. And at the time, the conclusion was that we could get by with going with 2 people instead of 3 people? Well, we've seen that this office, responds to the needs of over 400 employees, most of whom have some type of a computer either on their desk or that they take with them, a laptop, what have you. And you and the other gentleman with whom you work, who reports to you, are always on the go. So we've had extensive conversations about this, and the conclusion we've reached is that it might be prudent for us to look at giving you a little additional support in your office, which in turn helps the folks that work here. So what you're proposing, or what you're asking us to consider today, is that the salary board vote to eliminate a position that's listed on the books and is in the budget, if I'm not mistaken. It's budgeted for. It's called the PC/phone system technician position. You're asking us to eliminate that position, which currently is vacant, but budgeted for. And you're asking this board to create a support specialist/IT help desk position, which would be a non-union position. And the salary would be established, a starting salary of $40,000. I guess I got to ask our controller a question. Is it a given, or do we need to stipulate that this would include benefits? Is that assumed?
It's a full-time position.
So it's assumed that the benefits are included. Okay, thank you. So Bill, can you fill us in on this, please?
You said it all.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but you might have more to add.
If you are correct, we do roughly support, like you said, 400, about 350, maybe give or take 400. We also support 13 buildings. Most of the buildings are in this campus, but that does include the jail and 911 center. We've given them more support than in prior years, so we've helped them out.
Does it not also include the district justice offices? So you're traveling to Elwood City on occasion, and North Beaver Township, and Shannon Township, so, okay.
Occasionally we help DUI also downtown, so we're growing, and we need help. Myself and assistant administrator, we're kind of getting overwhelmed some days. So, we have projects that we need to complete. So getting that third person on board with us and to be able to help out the campus here would be a tremendous help.
Well, and I appreciate that. I don't want to speak for my colleagues, although I think it's safe to say we recognize that, but I'll let them respond accordingly. Mr. Prestipine, do you have questions for the bill?
I do.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanada?
Yeah, I just want to echo what you're doing. This begins our 7th month today as a commissioner, and I just observed over the last 6 months the responsibilities that your office has done, just from my dealings with you. It's getting a grasp of what's going on here at the Government Center. Myself and Commissioner Kennedy did visit all the agencies and offices to see what's done. And it's as far as technology, it's changing and it's growing. Even over the last 7 months, dealing with our office, some of the things we've been there in all the time, with their system. So I think the position is needed. Your responsibility is going to keep growing. Technology today. So I think this is a good move, and I think it's something that's needed. So that's just my thoughts, Chair.
Thank you so much, Chris. Mr. Kennedy?
Bill, the one thing I'll have to tell you that I've noticed is, your security, cybersecurity, we're lucky here at the county to have people like you, Eric. Very fortunate. You guys do a tremendous job. You go back to your office, I don't see you sitting there very often.
If you see me, we're in trouble, right?
Yeah, exactly. You two are out running somewhere all the time. So we thank you for what you do, and hopefully this can help you slow a little bit and get caught up a little bit too. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thanks for those comments. May I have a motion for proposed resolution 22?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Chris. Bill, anything else before we take our vote?
Just to clarify, you did say make this will be a non-exempt position. Okay, as I had, so typo on that. Okay, that is correct.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. I'll ask Vanessa to call the roll, please.
Controller Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, you're welcome to stay, but if you have to move along, we understand. Of course, I guess in a few moments,
Yeah,
we just have to
I'll stay.
turn that off. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
That reminded me, I neglected to mention at the very beginning that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Forgive me for not saying that sooner. New business. Do members of the board have any matters of new business to bring up? Okay, thank you. That takes us to public comment. And again, Hayden, you're our public today. Any questions or concerns that you might have?
Nothing for me right now.
Thank you, sir. And when we adjourn, I'll bring the documents over for you to have.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being here today. Well, that takes us to adjournment. Would someone care to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. This motion carries and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you.
Time to help people customize and save with Liberty Mutual. Forgot my wallet.
Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz. This October, I'll be going on a 4-night, 4-city tour for an opportunity